Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Farrell with the Two Mortgage Guys team. And today I have Nick Christensen, the man, the myth, the insurance legend. He's with Goosehead Insurance. He's one of my really good friends. I've known him for a very long time. And he also gives us quotes on almost every single policy, or not policy, every single loan that we bring in. So I appreciate you coming out, and thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I want the audience to kind of get to know you a little bit personally, the man behind the phone call, because I know that, you know, with our industry, we don't meet too many people in person anymore. A lot of our stuff is kind of done with like DocuSign and everything else. And so a lot of my clients end up getting a policy through you, and, you know, you just have a quick phone call and help them with all their insurance needs. So anyway, just a quick introduction video to them. So Nick, can you tell us a little bit about yourself personally? I know you're married, have 3 kids.
Yep. Yeah, I'm married, 3 little ones. I actually, my youngest just turned 5. My middle
That's
one's
crazy.
Yeah, turning 7 tomorrow. And then the oldest, he's going to be 9 here in a couple months.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think like when I met you, I think Jonah was like, I don't know, probably just born or just after that.
I think so.
So yeah, no, that's exactly.
He's growing up right in front of your eyes.
I know. I've seen everything. Well, of course, like Instagram, Facebook, all that other stuff too. But so 1 boy, 2 girls. Mm-hmm. I know you guys are huge Disney people because of all the Disney, or Larissa posted a whole bunch of stuff on Disney. And then you guys also, I know you do a lot of outdoor stuff. We actually met playing hockey. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the how that connection.
Ducks fans.
Right? So it's kind of cool. We've been able to experience a lot of like the Ducks' greatest moments together.
Ups and downs.
We were at Game 5 together of the overtime series with Edmonton. The comeback on Catella. That was funny because I think I called you. I'm like, hey, there's seats available. Are they right next to yours? And literally it was like, yeah, the seat's right next to his. So it was kind of cool.
Yep.
And then also Game 7. We went to Game 7. We've been to a couple of other good ones, haven't we?
Yeah, been to tons of games. They all just kind of blur together now.
Right, I know. Plus, then we played together. So then we did the Minnesota trip where
Some pond hockey.
We were horrible. I think we didn't win 1 game.
Nope.
But
almost tied one. Yeah,
that's important. So yeah, again, hockey has been a good connection for us, but then that's also translated to business because, you know, you get to know each other personally in the locker room. And that also then translates to business-wise. And now I know, like, hey, this is definitely the person who I want helping my clients. And so it's been almost, I think it's been 9 years.
Yeah, I think so.
So, but yeah, I mean, I know, that connection has been made. And then Nick is honestly, in my opinion, the one who I know if I send him a quote or a client, he's going to take care of them. And that's what I really appreciate about you. And I know that you work with a lot of other loan officers and real estate agents and other professionals, and they all say the same things about you. So that's kind of cool. It's not just myself that's saying that, but I think that the reviews and the ratings and what everybody says about you speaks volumes. So can you tell us a little bit about Goosehead? Because I know every time I say, hey, Nick Christensen's going to call you from Goosehead Insurance, everybody's like, okay, what is Goosehead? So
Yeah, so Goosehead is just our company. I mean, we're brokers, so we can, find the best coverage for the client based on their situation. So we generally work with about 30 different A-rated companies, and so they all have different specialties. If someone's buying a brand new home, if they're buying a really old home, maybe they're really close to brush. You know, we have a lot of different situations that we run into, but what we can do is use our software to plug the client's information into a bunch of different companies' websites. And so we work with a lot of the big name websites, you know, your Safecos, your Travelers, Nationwide, things like that. But we also have some, smaller companies that we work with that we're very confident in. They're great companies. They just don't spend millions or billions of dollars in marketing. So maybe their name isn't as well known, but they're still great companies.
Right.
And so we just try to find the client the best policy so that they're paying a good price, but they're also properly protected.
Right. The right premium plus, of course, dwelling coverage and everything else. Because I know, and this is the funny thing is, so like when we qualify people, I'm always, I don't want to say most of the time, but a lot of the time, like, hey, I need this quote to be like $60 a month, but then you're still also giving them a ton of dwelling coverage or a ton of like, personal property coverage and everything else. And I think that that's important because, again, when you're able to package it with the right price monthly and also the right coverage, it's important to the client. They're still getting awesome savings monthly plus very good coverage as well.
Yeah.
So now I know the one that we've kind of come across a little bit more is just because the fires in California. There's a lot of areas out here that require special insurance, such as like the California Fair Plan policy. I know that you guys write that. But also in California, we do have earthquakes. And now that we had the most recent earthquake, I'm assuming that you might be getting a little bit more phone calls about earthquake insurance. But
yeah, so every policy that we write actually comes with an earthquake quote and a flood quote. In California, those are two losses that are actually excluded from a homeowner's policy. And you're exactly right. As soon as an earthquake hits or an article comes out about how there was a hive of earthquakes or those sort of things, we just get blown up about it.
Bombarded.
I mean, this past 2 weeks, that's definitely been our number one seller is earthquake insurance. Because a lot of times people are on the fence about it. They're not sure whether they should get it or not. And then as soon as that happens, it just puts them right over the fence.
No, I know obviously we had 2 back-to-back big ones, right? So it's kind of unfortunate because I know up in that area, probably a lot of people didn't really have that type of insurance. And some of you see some of the different devastation that it causes. So, what is included in like a traditional package versus, one with like upgraded with earthquake insurance? So that way, I know we talk a lot about like flood insurance too. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is like if a flood does occur, there's specifications for that versus like inside the property versus outside.
Yeah.
So can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, so with the flood insurance, a lot of people get scared when we say flood is excluded from your policy because the flood that they're thinking about is, a pipe bursts in their wall and floods their house. So with insurance, we consider that a water loss.
Right.
That is covered, but where the issue is when water's originating from outside of the home. So you think about Hurricane Katrina, where you had, rising waters, things like that. Those sort of losses would be covered by flood insurance. And everyone's in a flood zone. It's just the more risky of a flood zone you're in, the higher the premium is going to be. So some flood zones, it's not required that you have flood insurance and you get a really cheap premium on it. In other areas, it's a higher risk. And so you're actually required to have it and it's more expensive. But we work with some companies that just offer flood insurance. We also work with NFIP. So we have a lot of different options where we can kind of shop for them and try to find them the best rate, kind of maximize the savings.
Right. And again, that's important too, because I know that we've had some in the past, like in like the Paris area, there's specific homes that are located within that flood zone where we, the lender, will require for that person to have that flood insurance. And for a qualification standpoint, that can either make or break the deal.
Exactly.
Because you have somebody that's qualified for up to an X amount and they're buying that type of property, but then there's also special things that come into play, such as flood insurance, or even like the one up in La Cresta that we've been hopefully trying to work on, where you have that area that's in a lot of brush, and that type of insurance is going to cost upwards of $8,000 a year.
Exactly.
So that's about $7,000 a month $700 a month in insurance. So it's kind of important to also know too, like, hey, who can you call that can get me this type of quote? Because I know a lot of insurances probably won't even want to touch that area.
Yeah.
I know recently, because we've had the different wildfires and everything else, like, and I use you for my insurance personally too, but for some areas, because of like the fire, like National General or one of these other companies are going to say, no, we're not going to actually extend out insurance anymore. So now you have to switch policies, and that can kind of be a little bit frustrating for some clients because they're thinking, okay, now I have to go find a different insurance policy. But I know, working specifically with you, who works with a lot of different other carriers, you got me a hippo quote, and it's like, okay, cool. I got
Yeah.
hippo insurance now.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of working with us is that we have so many carriers that we work with that if an individual company changes their rules, we still have lots of other ones we can go to or check with. And this year's been really unique with all the wildfires we had last year.
Right.
A lot of companies have, like you said, left the state, left certain counties, maybe certain zip codes, and then other companies have become more conservative because of that, because they don't want to take on all the risky business that this other company just got off of. So it's been a very unique year. And so we have seen that. We've, had some clients that we have to move, especially like you said, in this area here, it's been really big, but we always have a solution for people.
Right. And now I know the other thing too, and what a lot of clients do call me and ask is, do you do bundles? Which I know that you do. So not only are you doing homeowners insurance, you're also pairing it with auto insurance. You're also pairing it with, maybe an umbrella policy or something else. So that way you can get them additional savings. Because like a lot of people will say, okay, well, I got my homeowners insurance through here. Does he also do auto insurance? And, so I'll have you go into detail a little bit about that. So what other types of insurances or programs do you offer? Because I know it's not just insurance. Do you also do like health insurance, or do you also do different quotes, something like that? Or I know it also too, like IRAs, some insurance agents can do like financial planning too. So what is it, like yours? I know your specification is more of like the homeowners insurance, but what also insurance services do you offer?
Yeah, so we specialize in home closings, shopping for insurance when people are closing on a loan. But we can bundle that together. Some of the companies we work with, you have to have multiple lines with them.
Right.
So depending on the situation, we may have to do their auto insurance. And including auto insurance with the home usually saves them about 20% on each policy. So it's a pretty good
savings.
Good savings. We don't do any health insurance. That's just a totally different industry now. It's very specialized, so we don't do that. But we can help with rental properties. We can help with their business. We can help with liability for covering their assets. And then we do life insurance as well. And with our life insurance, it's similar to our homeowners insurance, where we work with a bunch of different companies to help find them the best rate. So if they have a certain medical condition that maybe one company doesn't really care too much about, we can place them with that company to get them a better price.
Oh, that's good. And that's important too, especially like as somebody that's looking into that, just like you said, one company might say, hey, we're not going to offer you this type of coverage anymore, just based off of, medical condition. But again, you're able to shop that and find out what's going to be the best policy for them. So again, I do think that that's important. So I think I touch every basis. I know we talked a lot about hockey, and that's what what I always love talking with you about too.
You could talk about my golf game.
Talk about your golf
lack
game.
thereof.
Well, I mean, we could talk about that. It's similar to hockey, but no.
Oh, come on.
Similar
sports. I thought you meant my ability.
No. Ability. There's a big difference between those two abilities, but. When, I know that you also go camping and everything else. You do a lot of it, different outdoor stuff, motorbike. You do a lot of dirt bike riding. Or did.
Yeah, now with age comes a cage. That's
absolutely.
Time of my life now.
No, but also I know your wife's very involved with the church. She does a lot of stuff with Harvest.
Yep.
And so that's cool, because we see all that stuff through Facebook and Instagram, what she's doing. And I know she's very involved in that too.
Yeah, we're both very involved at church. She works there, so she's the administrator for the women's ministry, and I'm a volunteer there. And all three of our kids go to school there, so it feels like we're there almost every day.
It's a whole other family.
Yeah, it's like family. So we're there almost the entire day on Sundays, and all the special events we're participating in, going to all the different programs.
And when you went to Hawaii, you went to Harvest Hawaii.
Yeah, and you've been there too.
I've been there too.
Awesome place on the golf course.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. Go over there. It's funny too, because, you're from SoCal, and then you go to Hawaii, and typically we're in shorts, t-shirt, and flip flops. But then you go over there, they're in Hawaiian shirts, shorts, and flip flops. So it's not too much of a difference.
Yeah, well, that's how I dress here anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for always taking care of our clients. There's a big reason again why I always send your contact information their way, because I always think that it's important. I know how you take care of people because you do that for myself and my family too. And I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming
thanks
on.
for having me.
Absolutely. All right.